I'd like to start off by just doing a little quick intro for myself and Catherine, who is the senior underwriter, also on the call, co-hosting this with me. My name's Drew Arnold. I'm a territory manager here at Pathpoint. I am working the Mid-Atlantic and South Florida region, which is Virginia, West Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, and then South Florida from like the central Florida, Tampa region, and then further south. So I've been here at Pathpoint for a year and a few months, and I'm really excited to be hosting this webinar with y'all and talking middle market brokerage. Catherine, you want to go next?
Definitely. Hi, everybody. My name's Catherine Cole. Like Drew said, I'm a senior underwriter here at Pathpoint. I manage the Northeast region, which is basically Ohio, east to Maine, save for New York and New Jersey. I let one of our other underwriters handle that fun territory. But I've been here for about 2.5 years. Just very excited to be launching the brokerage product with you all today. And excited to talk about that and answer some questions.
Great. All right, well, let's dive into it. I want to hit on the agenda for today. I also want to call out that the chat is opened and the Q&A session is open. I see Eunice posting a hello. Like, feel free to use it. We'll do our best to like answer the questions as quickly as we can live, but also we have a good chunk of time saved at the end to review appetite questions and everything that comes in. So just quick agenda. What is middle market? What is brokerage? What do we do differently here at Pathpoint and how does it work here at Pathpoint? Catherine's going to do a really deep dive into our preferred appetite, like what we're strong at, what we're winning, what you should send to us. We're going to highlight some recent wins. Our brokerage middle market side of the business has been in a pilot phase for 9 to 12 months now. So we've got a decent number of recent wins that we want to share with you guys. And then I'm going to take over and then show you actually how to submit a middle market, a brokerage account through the portal. So that's one thing that we do differently is the submission will still initiate in the portal like you're used to with all of your Pathpoint submissions. And then, like I said, we'll answer all the questions at the end. Okay. What is brokerage? What is middle market? We consider this the standard definition is 5 million and above in annual revenue for a contractor. There are some instances where a two, three, $4 million contractor might fit more competitively with some middle market options. The binding authority markets on our portal do go up to 5 million. So once it exceeds 5 million, it has to go and does go to brokerage. But when we get in that upper range, sometimes it makes sense to check with middle market and pull it out of binding authority to make sure it's the most competitive rate. But it's a unique bigger account, whether it be revenue that causes it to fit and move outside of binding authority. Maybe it's certain coverages that are needed. Maybe it's loss ratios. Um, there's always a reason why it doesn't fit with binding authority and why it goes to brokerage. Historically, we have been the solution for small commercial here at Pathpoint as an E&S wholesaler. So one thing that we're doing differently now that this is all ramped up is we're targeting these mid to large size brokerage accounts. Okay, this is a cool slide. Um, one one thing I really want to point out here is we've got, obviously on the slide deck, a list of all of our brokerage markets. Some of these carriers you may be familiar with, Westchester, Penn America Navigators, those are also binding authority markets, but they also then have brokerage departments for the bigger accounts. but the majority of these markets are specifically exclusively middle market brokerage carriers. Um, One thing that we do differently here at Pathpoint, think to our binding authority markets, think to our portal, how we normally submit and take business. We don't operate like a traditional wholesaler where we're only showing you one market, where we're only showing you the best quote that we think your clients need. In binding authority, we show you anything and everything that comes back with a rate, so that you can explore and dive deep into coverages, exclusions, deductibles, and make that decision. So we're carrying that same philosophy forward with brokerage, with middle market, and approaching multiple markets and sharing all quotes that we get back with you. One thing with the middle market with these brokerage accounts is, of course, the premiums are much higher. All of these carriers have a minimum premium of 10K or above. But one thing that we really need is transparency from our side and yours, as far as where has this submission been sent to? What are we trying to accomplish with certain unique coverages and endorsements and enhancements? Target premiums and loss runs. We do need loss runs up front before we can work on any of these submissions. But in addition to contractors, we're also doing some property. So TIV range is 5 to 10 million. Um, Prior claims, shock losses, we're not afraid of. Again, we do need and want the loss runs up front, but we can handle that. And we're looking to start working the submission 30 to 60 days ahead of the effective date. All of these markets are AM Best, A rated or higher.
Perfect. Okay, well, thank you, Drew. I appreciate you going through that. So there's two verticals on our portal that we are specifically expanding our brokerage appetite for, and that's contractors and our lesser's risk product. Uh, these two you'll still submit in the same way. Drew will show you a little bit later how exactly that's going to look different on your side for the submission process, but you're going to start the same way as always, just as you would for a binding quote. And some of the, you know, we have some binding markets that go up to the $5 million point that will still provide quotes. These are just going to be for your larger revenue, more larger units for the LROs, those types of risks. So for the contractor specifically, we're looking at sales receipts above 5 million. If we're looking at payroll, it's usually going to be above the like $2 million range is probably going to push us into the brokerage side. And then if they're doing operations above 4 stories, hot work on roofs, New York specific risks are harder to place for in the binding space as well. So that can be pushed to brokerage, even if the receipts are a little bit less. And then if your contractors have government contracts or are doing new residential work, those are also some of the things that may push us out of the binding space and have our underwriters work on these quotes or risk and to get you quotes in the brokerage space. For the lesser's risk product, you're going to start the same way, putting in as a GL LRO. And then if you've got apartments that have higher capacity, usually above, your 50 units is going to push us into brokerage, but our carriers can do up to 1,000 units. They can do senior living. So think you're like 55 plus apartment complexes, not so much like your nursing or assisted living risks, and then retail and mixed use spaces as well. Those are all things that will be welcome in that in this lesser's risk bucket. For both contractors and lesser's risk, we will have excess available. One thing I'll note is that these are all, you're going to see a lot of the same names of the carriers, probably just like on the previous page. They have like a Markel has a binding unit, but they also have a brokerage unit. So you're going to see some of the same names in the brokerage space. It just means that a different set of underwriters basically is working on these larger accounts. So with that, let's dive into our contractor specific appetite. So like I said, a lot of the same types of risks. You're going to go out and find your general contractors, your trade contractors, just as you would. This just allows us to have to be providing quotes at a higher percentage. So your commercial and residential general contractors, your artisan contractors with those higher revenues, like Drew said, even if they have claims, like you said, shock losses aren't a big deal. If they have a repetitive claim that we're seeing year over year, we're going to want to know, and the carrier underwriter that our underwriters will be working with will want to know that something has been put in place to mitigate this, and maybe some training, or perhaps there's a something that they've done to make sure that that claim isn't happening year over year. General construction and infrastructure risks. So general construction, think of your like home builders, your ground up construction. In infrastructure, think of your like, are they working on sewer mains? Are they doing like grading of land, perhaps with some government contracts in place? Those are going to be things that our carriers are excited to quote. Obviously, the premium is going to be higher than your typical, $1,000 to $5,000 contractor, but it means that you can go from your insured to us, submit it, and we can still get you a quote, even though they're a little bit more prickly of risks, I guess I would say. There's going to be, uh, a factor or two that's going to throw them into the brokerage market, but we can still get that quoted. We can still get you a quote back so you can sell that to your insured. A few things that are still going to kick it out for us are tract home builders over 25 units. So if you have a contractor who's going up and basically throwing up houses, one after another, and they're doing 100 at a time, that's not going to be a fit for us right now, as well as if they're doing Florida new construction in the residential space. Commercial we can place, residential is just not a fit for us right now. So I got a question in the chat. If a trade contract with claims but has under 5 million in sales can be quoted. So yes, I would say yes, and that may be something that our binding markets can look at. So Baleen is a good example of a market where that's still going to show up on the portal for you. They're going to quote it and get that back to you, and they will go up to the $5 million mark, and perhaps a little bit larger on some class codes. They're not afraid of claims either, but if for some reason it does kick out, this would be a contractor where we could take it to a Leo, a Kinsale, a West Congress, and have them quote it. Uh, like I said, as long as those claims aren't happening year after year, they're happy to quote. If they do have a loss, we will want loss runs up front so that we can say, hey, this is what happened, really set the stage. The difference in kind of the workflow for our team specifically is we're going out and talking to carrier underwriters and saying, hey, like this is the risk, and kind of like selling it to them, and talking through what the exact operations are. If there was a claim, hasn't been mitigated, and what did that look like? Was it a construction defect claim? We're going to want those types of details so that we can really go in one like fell swoop, market it to them, and get a quote back quickly. So just with anything that is larger or has claims, the more detail you can provide to your account manager and your underwriter or in the app itself is so appreciated by our team. So yeah, great question. Perfect. So let's move over to, lesser's risk only GL. So similar to what you may put into Pathpoint, get a instant quote for, those are going to be a lot of the same types of risks, your habitational, commercial, and mixed use, vacants and vacants under renovation, or even if you have a building that perhaps they are housing, 100 apartments and you've got 10 that are currently under renovation. Those are going to be things that we can rate for with these markets and quote, whereas a binding market probably isn't going to want to touch that. Condo and homeowner associations, whether it's, you've got a couple of condo buildings, you've got townhouses, You've got single family dwellings that make up the homeowners association, including like if you have a clubhouse or a maybe a park that is maintained by the homeowners association. Those are going to be all things that we can rate for and quote. New York, that is a place where, as anybody who writes in New York knows, there are less markets available than most other states. Opening up the brokerage space really allows us to kind of customize policies. So New York specific, New York City, the five boroughs, we're going to have some capacity there. There are just going to be some added forms like assault and battery, firearms exclusions, animal bite exclusions that are going to be put on those policies. And that's something you can work with your underwriter on. That, hey, we really need this or we really need this removed. They might be able to do that. It's gonna cause some additional premium to be incurred. And then one really exciting part of the LRO space is that we can pair this with property up to $10 million. So we've got a few property carriers who will write a lot of these same uh, sections of business in the GL. We have some carriers who will write the property for them. The one thing I'll note is those aren't going to be package options. They're going to be a monoline GL and they're going to be a monoline property from two separate carriers. Just so that obviously on the portal we have a lot of package options that populate in the LRO GL space. These are just going to be monoline and they're going to be probably a little bit higher premium, obviously due to the TIV, but also due to the capacity on the unit counts. So yeah, that is our LRO GL and property appetite. We can move on to some recent wins that we've had in the space. So these are three sectors that we have really found that are quick wins and have been valuable to our agents to be able to quote the business quickly and get it closed quickly. Conduit construction and conduit drilling to go alongside that. Obviously, there's a lot of fiber being put in across all states. So we've had an influx in contractors that are doing conduit construction. We've got carriers that are pretty quick at quoting this business. They're used to it, they know the risks, and they want to write it. So that has been a big class code for us recently. General contractors always from ground up to renovation projects to commercial build outs. Those are all things that our general contractor carriers are looking for, excited to write, and really across really all states outside of Florida and the five boroughs in New York. We are looking for that kind of business. If you're in a construction defect state, these might be some higher premiums. There may be a couple of carriers that are out of the running for you, but otherwise, a great class code to be able to submit, get a quick quote back, and get that closed. And then HOAs and COAs, so homeowner associations and condo associations. Super quick to quote. Our underwriters and our carriers who are writing those products are very excited about them. And they have all of the, I would say, bells and whistles that you would want for a GL for those types of risks. So those are ones that if you're really looking for a quick win, if you're going out and looking for business to submit to Pathpoint to partner with us and write those, these are three that we can get done quickly for you and turn into premium on the books. So perfect. So I'll hand it back to Drew to go over how to um, submit your brokerage accounts.
Thanks, Catherine.
Yeah.
Okay, just a quick recap, then I'm going to switch the screen share to the actual Pathpoint portal and give you kind of like a live, very quick, brief demo. But just to reiterate, everything is still initiated and submitted to us through the portal at pathpoint.com through our website. When you get to the end of a submission, you will see a middle market eligible little blue message down at the bottom right, and that's how you'll initiate this process. Let me just switch my screen to show you that. This is a quote that's already completed. I'm just going to hit edit submission to show you that everything is completed. Um, on this example is the conduit cable fiber contractor that Catherine just mentioned. I want to call out just a few things here on um, coverage details. This is where you can attach documents if you have loss runs, copies of prior policies, any other documents that you want to attach to the submission. This is where you would do it. When you get to the end and you hit the submit button, this is where that continue to middle market submission blue button pops up. And when you click on that, it will then ask you for a narrative, and then it will allow you to check off which markets you think this will fit and submit. So this is how you take a normal submission entry and kick it over to brokerage at the end. From there, it goes directly to your underwriter. I think we've got a few questions, Catherine. Let me get back to them. I can kind
Yeah,
of read them off to you if that's okay,
perfect. Go
and
for it.
answer
Yeah,
a couple.
let's start.
There's one that asks about property markets that we're working and using in brokerage.
Yeah, great question. So there are three main property markets that we're working with to get those TIVs up to the $10 million point. Those being Kinsale, Westchester, and Integrity. Uh, you're probably used to Westchester from the binding markets. They also have a brokerage arm that does some increased property TIVs.
Cool. Great question, Ryan. Ryan, you also asked about commission. Let's talk to your account manager about that. It's a little complex just with the strategic partnership affiliation. If your appointment is affiliated with a strategic partner, that can impact it. The one thing I will say is we're very transparent and upfront on cover letters. Commissions always print right on there, but this is also, something that I encourage you to talk to your account manager, your territory manager. For any others, please feel free to post them now. We'd be happy to answer them here before we end our presentation. The other thing, just kind of like tying back into Ryan's question, every region, every agency within the network here at Pathpoint has a dedicated team assigned to them. So that's how we operate here at Pathpoint is there's a territory manager paired with an underwriter. And it's the two folks that work on the submissions with you to get them to the finish line. So I really encourage, I'm over Mid-Atlantic. Catherine is over her region. There's a big team that's not represented here on the call, and I really encourage you just to work with your account manager, territory manager, and underwriter. Randy, can we do E&O for an HOA? Catherine.
Yeah, so E&O is not something that we have live on the portal right now. We may have an option to pair it if you're quoting the GL. One of our GL carriers for HOAs and COAs does offer a sublimit for E&O coverage. But if you're really looking for a full-blown, like $1 million limit, that wouldn't be for us right now. It may be in the future, just to give you a little glimpse, but probably not before the end of the year. I appreciate everybody being on the call today. Feel free to keep submitting your questions. Just want to say there's a lot of excitement at Pathpoint right now. Our underwriters are very excited to have access to some expanded markets and really want to write, the business, be the one-stop shop for our agents where we can be. So keep sending us stuff and we'll keep quoting it and help you guys bind some more premium and grow from there.
Perfectly said. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your partnership and your time this afternoon, and we look forward to working with you all on some brokerage deals. Have a great afternoon.
everything, please just let me know. And I really look forward to working with you all. So have a great day. Thank you.